Hey, this is Dear Rouge, and we are out here at Burlington Sound of Music.
And this is Beers with Bands.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Why don't you introduce yourselves and let us know what you're drinking today?
I am Danielle McTaggart, and I'm drinking the Mill Street Brewery Original Lager.
And I am Drew McTaggart, and I'm drinking a classic Guinness.
And I also have the Mill Street Organic over here.
Look at us. Yeah, same.
There we go.
Yes.
So on tour, you had a post-show ritual of setting off fireworks after some of your shows.
Yeah.
Do you have any other rituals that you have?
After the show, before the show, we huddle and say a prayer.
We usually have a shot of whiskey to kind of loosen up, but and then after each tour, we like to keep it different. You know, because if you do the same thing every single time, so the huddle before the show and the prayer, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But after, it changes.
So we interviewed Sean from Modern Space, and
yeah?
he told us about I believe it was scotch. Maybe there was some scotch drinking at the end of tour.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Drew, you're a fan of scotch.
We usually buy, when we're touring with the band, we buy the other band a bottle of scotch.
Oh, okay.
Just for tour's long.
Yeah.
You always want to start or finish on the right foot. You
Right.
know? You see Canadian bands all the time, so
Yeah.
we love all the Canadian bands, and we want to be friendly. And it's hard. It's harder than people think when you're out on the road. So
Yeah, for sure.
it's a lot of fun, but it comes with its challenges. So it's nice to know
Right.
that other bands are rooting for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if we could take it back to first beers. Do you remember the first beers you've ever had?
Yeah, I do.
Beer. Do you?
I had Rickard's Red, and it was at this dingy pub called the Beluga in Langley, which is like 45-hour outside of Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember the first beer, but I remember my first drink was a Smirnoff Ice. Ooh.
Yeah.
Not good for this interview.
That's okay.
I got iced. I think that's actually how it happened. So.
Yeah. And then what about first CD or cassette tape you've ever owned?
Ooh,
Mine was Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had an older brother, and so I kind of got his
Given.
music all the time, or I would take his music.
Right.
I think it was like early Pearl Jam or something.
Okay,
Actually,
cool.
the first CDs I bought with my own money were Blink-182 and Pearl Jam Yield.
Okay.
I remember that.
And first concert. Do you remember the first concert you ever attended?
Oasis. They were coming through Calgary, and me and my brother went, and we had like second row from the front, and I was just
Wow.
freaking out. Yeah, it was in their like prime as well, and Ryan Adams had opened up for them, and it was just like, it was amazing.
How are you going to top this one?
Mine was Canadian classic, Our Lady Peace.
Oh.
And
there
it was
you
not because I was into them, but because my older brother and all his friends were going.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to that show.
go. Yeah. So what are you guys listening to a lot of lately? What's on your radar?
Well, Drew, I'll let you answer because we're always together, so we're like listening to a lot of the same stuff. But Damien Gerardo.
Yeah. Damien Gerardo's been, the last little bit, has been such a peaceful, like on tour. We
Yeah.
were listening to him. And he's one of those artists that I got into late. He's from Seattle, but
Okay.
then you go deep. And his last 3 records are really interesting because the latest one he put out is basically like singer, songwriter, guitar. The next one is like chill acoustic band arrangements. And the
Okay.
one before that is like more like 70s rock. Like 70s, like LA kind of like Doors-ish rock. And
Okay.
it's so good. And I really love him.
Cool.
I've actually been like trying to dive into my music history a little bit, and that reminds me, like I have this like little file going on where I write notes about like old bands and like
Okay.
how they wrote songs and how they succeeded and like what was their downfall and stuff. And my latest one was Chicago, but I had done the Doors and I had done some of these older bands, and I've been listening to some of the older stuff, Jimi Hendrix and stuff, which has been really inspiring and kind of
Yeah.
crazy to go like back rather than like
Right.
now. Music is changing so fast that sometimes you want to
You
go
need
back
to-
a little bit to like remember what people were doing before it got so crazy. And you know, so yeah.
And then what about what do you drink a lot lately? Like you hit the road, what are you grabbing?
For beer, we in our crew, we kind of rock Pabst all the
Okay.
time. It's a
It's a
simple,
common one.
simple beer, but
Yeah.
we've
And we know those guys in Vancouver,
We
so
are.
they help us out too,
Okay.
and so we end up drinking a lot
and
of
it's
it.
just consistent, and it's always there, and it's kind of our like lager that we always have.
Yeah.
It's a go-to. We just did a beer that's in the LCBO right now,
I know.
and it's
Ooh.
called Shakedown after our song Modern
Yes.
Shakedown,
Yes.
and it's a sour.
It's with Collective Arts.
Yeah, with Collective Arts, and
It's a sour beer. I don't actually typically drink sours, but I really like this one, so
Yeah.
I was happy about that.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Are you a sour drinker?
I do. Like, they're probably like my go-to,
Nice.
but I'll pretty much drink anything.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
We also really like cocktails. Like we have like a cocktail kit when we go on the road.
Oh,
There's
So-
cocktails being made
It's not-
right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So if you guys get to brew your own beer and you add in one of your favorite secret ingredients and name it after one of your songs, like I know you said that you did that with Collective Arts, but if you each personally got to choose something that
To put
it's,
in
yeah,
our beer.
yeah.
I like kind of whiskey kind of flavors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like I would put something like kind of
Whiskey aged barrel.
yeah, like a whiskey kind of flavor in my beer.
Yeah.
And maybe we would call it, what would we call it? From one of our songs? This is hard off the top of our head. I don't know. You got any ideas?
No.
No.
It's good with you.
Well,
You're gonna
I would think
collab?
Well,
Like,
just
we're
to
making
think
it,
of
we
a
wanna, like-
song, like what we would associate with
Oh,
our
Wicked
beer.
Thing.
Yeah, you could call it Wicked
'Cause it'd be
Thing
higher,
for the
maybe.
whiskey, Wicked Thing beer, Wicked beer.
So it'd be a high alcohol content.
Yeah.
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 What do you call it? Wicked Thing.
And what's coming next for you guys?
We
do you have
are
going on?
we are writing our brains out right now,
Okay.
and we are on our third LP, and so this is. We feel like we've learned a lot through both albums. First album was this excitement of it's crazy. We get to play these festivals where our music's on the radio. When we were creating it, we wanted it to, but we didn't necessarily think it would get there.
Yeah.
Then the second one, there was like a lot of we took a lot of time and we wrote with a lot of different people, and so it was a totally different experience. And I think between those two, we've kind of realized a lot about ourselves and how we need to dig deep. So we know that we need to go deeper, and now it's just a matter of putting the time in, and a lot of just Danielle and I being comfortable with what we like and doing it no matter what is played on the radio or what other bands are
Kinda
doing.
Stay true to yourself.
Yeah,
but
stay
literally,
true.
Like just something that's so sincere. Maybe it would be like kind of going back to where we were in our first album,
Okay.
but with the depth and experience of where we have
Right.
been through,
Where you are
and
today.
kind of like, hopefully becoming a mature self as a band.
So across the socials, Dear Rouge,
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yeah. Across
okay.
the socials, Dear Rouge, and come check us out if you don't know our music.
And we're Beer X, and you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and we're Beers Bands on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Hey, this is Dear Rouge.
And we're out here at Burlington Sound and Music Fest.